No, no. No. No, non si può stare qua, non faccio foto, fuori.
看得出来，你告诉我他在哪。如果你不告诉我的话，我会揍你的，王八蛋！
Vedi da andare a fanculo, vattene a fanculo, traduci un po'.
In a remote village in China, the story begins with a father training his two daughters in martial arts. The older sister Yun seems unmotivated and struggles to keep up. Meanwhile, the younger one, Mei, is full of energy and follows every move with excitement, but everything changes when someone suddenly arrives. The father quickly tells his wife to hide Mei. At that time, the country is going through a difficult period, and strict policies only allow each family to have one child. Mei's existence must be kept a secret. As her mother hides her, Mei still insists on continuing her training, whining and refusing to stay quiet. To calm her down, her mother gives her a small paper swan, a simple toy that becomes something meaningful, and from that moment on, she becomes a child who must never be seen. This is the Forbidden City. Years later, Mei is all grown up. She is now among a group of illegal immigrants, packed inside a shipping container being transported to an unknown destination. When they finally arrive, Mei and the others are brought before a harsh woman who plans to put them to work. The woman orders them to undress, but instead of obeying, Mei immediately asks about her sister. Annoyed by the question, the woman orders the guards to throw her out. But the moment they get close, Mei fights back. She takes them down effortlessly, overpowering every man who tries to stop her. After dealing with the guards, she corners the woman and demands answers. When the woman refuses to speak, Mei turns to an old man and threatens him until he finally points her upstairs. As Mei moves forward, more guards begin to flood in from above. Without hesitation, she snaps a CD into a sharp weapon and starts taking them down one by one. Anyone who stands in her way is quickly defeated. Reaching the upper floor, she searches every room. When a guard grabs her, she easily subdues him with her exceptional kung fu skills. Then an elderly woman calls out to her and reveals a name: Alfredo, the owner of an Italian restaurant. Hearing this, Mei immediately runs with guards chasing close behind. She ends up in a kitchen, cornered once again. But even then, she fights back with brutal precision, overpowering everyone around her. Using spilled hot oil, she incapacitates them and finally makes her escape. As Mei makes her way through the Chinese restaurant, she briefly crosses paths with a man named Wang, the owner of the place. Once she steps outside, she realizes where she really is, a Chinatown district in the city of Rome. Inside, Wang is left shocked after seeing his men completely beaten. Meanwhile, Mei walks through the streets, determined to find Alfredo's Italian restaurant. After some searching, she finally finds it. As an elderly waiter invites her to sit, Mei notices several photos on the wall, recognizing one of the men as Alfredo. In the kitchen, a chef named Morello is busy preparing orders while complaining about his father, Alfredo, who has disappeared and left him to handle everything on his own. When Mei approaches him, she uses a translation app to ask about Alfredo. Already frustrated with his father, Morello reacts angrily, but Mei, who has lost her patience, quickly attacks him and forces him to talk. The moment she learns that Alfredo ran away with a Chinese woman, she lets him go. Not long after, a gangster leader named Hannibal is introduced going around collecting money with his two bodyguards. When he arrives at the restaurant, he is greeted by his nephew, Morello, who reports about the Chinese woman who just assaulted him while searching for Alfredo. Hearing this, Hannibal is furious. He refuses to let someone disrupt his territory, especially someone who dared to hurt his own family. Without hesitation, he heads straight to the Chinese restaurant to confront Wang, accusing him of being behind it. Even after Wang insists he had nothing to do with it, Hannibal does not believe him. He pressures Wang to find and capture the woman, making it clear that failure will have serious consequences. Elsewhere at home, Lena is devastated after discovering that Alfredo has left her for a Chinese woman. In her anger and disappointment, she tears apart his belongings. Later that night, Hannibal returns to question Marcello about the woman's appearance. But before Marcello can explain, Mei suddenly appears at the door. Hannibal's men immediately chase after her. Realizing she is being followed, Mei deliberately lures them into a closed shopping center. As one of the guards steps inside, Mei strikes first, taking them down with brutal precision. When another guard notices his partner in pain, he begins searching for her. Unaware that Mei is already behind him, she attacks without hesitation. However, this guard proves to be tougher than the others. Thinking quickly, Mei grabs a brush and uses it as a weapon. After a brief struggle, she manages to overpower him and win the fight. Not long after, Hannibal is shocked to find his two bodyguards completely beaten. At the same time, back at the restaurant, Morello is about to eat when one of Wang's men suddenly appears, badly injured. It turns out Mei forced him to reveal everything he knew about her sister and Alfredo. Without giving Morello a choice, she drags him along. They arrive at an open field and begin digging at the location pointed out by Wang's man. After digging deep enough, Morello uncovers something horrifying. It is the bodies of Yun and Alfredo. Seeing her sister like that, Mei is devastated. Overwhelmed with grief, she takes Yun's body and leaves using Morello's car. Morello, now realizing his father is also gone, is left behind in shock and sorrow. Soon after, Morello calls Hannibal and tells him about Alfredo's body. When Hannibal sees it, he calms Morello down. Meanwhile, by the seaside, May prepares to cremate her sister. Before doing so, she releases the origami that once came from their mother, a final farewell. As morning approaches, Hannibal helps Morello bury Alfredo again, choosing to keep his death a secret to protect the family's reputation. He then takes Marcelo to an apartment that Alfredo had rented, a place where he once lived with Yun. Hannibal explains that he had tried to convince Alfredo to leave Yun and return to his family, but love had blinded him. Alfredo chose to stay. Hannibal kept all of this hidden to spare Morello and his mother from the truth. The next day, driven by anger, Morello grabs a kitchen knife and heads to the Chinese restaurant to take revenge. But he is easily overpowered and thrown out into the street. At the same time, May secretly infiltrates Wang's headquarters. Inside a room, she prepares herself and blends in, making sure she does not get recognized. Meanwhile, Wang announces to his guests that his son will soon be holding a concert. When one of the guests mocks him, Wang reacts violently and attacks him on the spot. May, already inside, prepares to strike, but her plan fails and she is quickly surrounded by Wang's men. A brutal fight breaks out as she tries to push her way toward Wang. Unfortunately, she is stabbed in the shoulder and struck multiple times. Eventually, she falls and is beaten without mercy. Not wanting the guests to witness any of this, Wang orders his men to take her away and finish her elsewhere. But as they try to move her, May fights back once again. In a desperate move, she throws herself out of the restaurant and manages to escape. When Wang's men lose track of her, they scatter in different directions to search for her. Not long after, one of Morello's chef friends finds May lying unconscious outside the kitchen, badly injured. Morello is immediately called in to see her condition as she is being treated. With Wang's group now actively hunting her, the chef, worried about his own family's safety, asks Morello to take May away. Having no other choice, Morello agrees. He brings her to his father's apartment and begins taking care of her. While tending to her wounds, he shows her an old photo of her and her sister from when they were children. Soon after, Morello receives a call from Hannibal asking him to come to a certain place. Hannibal has found Morello's car, the same one May used earlier. But since it is covered in Yun's blood, Hannibal plans to burn it to avoid attracting police attention. At the same time, Hannibal reveals something unexpected. He admits that he has feelings for Morello's mother and asks for permission to take her out on a date. The next morning, Morello gives May her medicine and properly introduces himself. By that night, May has recovered enough to move around, though her emotions are still intense. She asks Morello to take her out to see the city. As they walk through Rome, May notices wanted posters with her face posted around different areas. Then, when she sees a concert poster, she becomes curious. Morello explains that it is for Maggio, Wang's son, who will soon be performing. They continue walking through the city, and for a brief moment they share a surprisingly peaceful time together. Afterward, May opens up about her past. For 20 years, she lived hidden inside her own home, forced into isolation because of the government policy that did not allow her family to have more than one child. Her family had no choice but to keep her existence a secret. Even so, every night her sister would tell her stories about the outside world, sharing everything she saw during the day. Because of that, May never truly felt alone. As they grew older, her sister made a bold decision to become an illegal immigrant and travel to Italy, hoping to give May a chance at freedom. But May could not bear to be separated from her, so she followed. And when she finally found her sister again, it was too late. Realizing that Yun had been killed, May was left completely shattered. From that moment on, her only goal became clear: to take revenge. The following night, Wang arrives at his son's concert. At the same time, Morello goes to bring food for May, only to realize she is no longer there. May is already on the move, quietly following Wang. When Wang notices her presence, he chooses to leave the venue to avoid causing a scene during his son's performance. May does not let him go and immediately follows him. They eventually arrive at an abandoned factory. Using the thick smoke around them, Wang launches a surprise attack from behind, catching May off guard and making the fight much harder for her. Sensing the challenge, Wang leads her into a direct confrontation, and it becomes clear that he is highly skilled in martial arts. As the fight intensifies, Wang pulls out a knife. May manages to knock it away, but he quickly retrieves it and prepares to strike again. Acting fast, May grabs a brick and slams it into his head. Without hesitation, she pulls a chain and attacks him with full force. Once Wang is finally down and unable to fight back, May demands to know why he killed her sister. Wang reveals the truth. Alfredo truly loved Yun and was willing to give up his restaurant in exchange for her freedom. But just as the deal was about to be finalized, Hannibal arrived and stopped it. He refused to let the family business be sacrificed for the sake of a Chinese woman. When Alfredo refused to back down, Hannibal made a ruthless decision and killed him. After that, Wang saw Yun as a liability and eliminated her as well. Hearing this, May is overwhelmed with grief. In that moment of vulnerability, Wang tries to take advantage and attack again. But this time, Mei's anger has reached its peak. She fights back without holding anything back, and kills Wang in the same brutal way he killed her sister. The next day, Mei goes to Morello and tells him the full truth. When Morello learns that Hannibal is responsible for his father's death, he is consumed by rage. He locks Mei inside and leaves, determined to take revenge on his own. Meanwhile, Hannibal prepares for a dinner date with Morello's mother at the restaurant. When Morello arrives and sees them together, he calmly prepares a dish for Hannibal. Then he sits between them, forcing Hannibal into an uncomfortable situation. Sensing that something is wrong, Hannibal decides to leave. After reassuring his mother, Morello immediately goes after him. At the same time, Mei grows increasingly worried about Morello. Desperate to stop him, she escapes the apartment by climbing across the rooftops and sets out to find him. When Mei arrives at the restaurant, she only finds Morello's mother. At the same time, Morello has already caught up with Hannibal and confronts him, demanding to know how he could kill his own brother. Even after hearing the explanation, Morello cannot accept it. He brings up everything his family has done for Hannibal, how they accepted him when others rejected him because of his life as a gangster. Feeling cornered and overwhelmed, Hannibal pulls out a gun and points it at Morello. Just as the situation reaches its breaking point, Mei and Morello's mother arrive. With nothing left to hold on to, Hannibal makes a final, irreversible choice. Time passes, and 10 years later, everything has changed. Mei has returned to China and continues her father's legacy by teaching kung fu to children in her village. Morello, now her husband, chooses to stay by her side. Together, they build a new life and are blessed with 2 children, something that was once impossible under the old rules. In the end, after everything they have been through, they finally find peace and live a happy life. So, the moral of the story is, if your family drama involves kung fu, mafia, and illegal immigration, maybe just start a group chat instead of fighting everyone in Rome.